little R&R this weekend, I hope, Jan, you know,
Oh, it'll be fine. It always turns out fine. It's just living it.
living the dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to help Joe. I put in an APN number. I have access to a title company, and this guy right here that's coming on is pretty good too. And that elementary property shows as vacant land. It popped up as vacant land, but we can ask the guy that's right here, Gene and Michael. These are other admins in our group, and we're probably going to go live in about 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, I
I
think
would
people
imagine.
are a bit late from the other meeting, so they should be popping up in a second.
That's great.
But Gene, did you go to the meeting this morning? Your volume's
Is muted.
you're muted.
Yeah, I did. I went this morning.
Okay.
Or I attended, I should say. I didn't go, but I attended.
How many people were in the Board of Realtors meeting this morning?
It didn't show. They don't let you see.
Oh,
so I don't
really?
know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I saw some real estate agent wanting to advertise on our site, and we took that off, kind of.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, real quick. So anyhow, I'd like to introduce Jan Gonzalez. She is the superintendent of schools right here. This is our admin.
Hi, Jan.
Good morning.
Jan.
Hi.
We have a few admins that aren't available right now this morning, but Jan did take the time this morning to be a part of our group and tell us a little bit about the school district and what's happening, what she knows so far. But what was I going to say? I'd like to introduce Michael. He's our head admin host over here on the left. Michael.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And Gene, we have Gene Logan from Core Title. I've worked with him for over 25 years.
Hi,
And
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And Janine. I think I worked with you all for over at least 20 years. It's scary. Good to see you, Janine.
Good seeing you.
Jeanette, of course. Good morning. Okay. Well, shoot. How's everybody's Friday coming along so far? Jeanette? Okay.
So far, so
Jeanette,
good.
you're muted. Jeanette, you're muted, so we can't hear you.
Sorry.
And Madison, we can't see her or hear her.
Yeah.
I know people are also joining in.
Thank
Jeanette,
you, Jan, for joining us today.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah. So when we go live, I think a lot of people are going to trickle on. I hope. It's Friday, and we normally have we've had some pretty big meetings. It's been, or events, I should say. I don't want to say meetings. I want to say
events.
Events.
Yes, we are having Ray Patchett join us from Corona. We are starting another group out there. So,
Oh, good.
Yes.
He's on mute.
Yeah, he's on mute. He'll unmute himself when he.
How are your other speakers coming along in other groups, Michael? What have you done?
The other group up in Antelope Valley, we actually coming along well. They may join us today to learn a little bit more from us.
Uh-huh.
But the group now has in Antelope Valley, I think we have about 100 people in there.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
Yes, yes. So it's growing.
Okay. Do we have a link live on our app right now?
Yes,
we
do.
Oh,
yes,
good.
we do.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So people are at the meeting.
Yeah.
Give us 1 minute, Jan, and we'll just get through it real quick. And if you have to leave early or what have you, just say, I'm open for questions. I have to leave in a few minutes. And
okay, no problem.
A couple questions. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm still real quick, Jan. I'm still trying to help Joe, and I have access. I'm gonna give Gene the address.
What did he need help with?
He needs help with comparables for the property, the elementary property, and rentals. Basically, a rental survey, I would say, because I'm taking that property address and I'm coming up with comparables only, and it shows as vacant land.
On 8th Street, the one on 8th Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Gene, I'm going to text you with an address.
Yeah, that's fine.
And just send me an email. If there's any kind of comparable rentals on it, he'll find it. I couldn't find it. I'm gonna text. I'll just send it to you in a text right now.
It's 15579, Dwayne?
Yeah, no, I have it. I'm gonna
Okay.
forward it to him in a text message
Okay.
from what Joe sent me this morning. Let's see. Okay. Forward Gene. So it's not vacant land, Gene. There's actually, a building been on there, and the elementary school board is considering renting it out, and they're trying to get an idea what
Okay.
rents might go for.
All right, so we have Travis Grapes joining in.
Madison.
All right. Yeah, Madison
after 11.
is on phone. She's so she'll join us in a second. We have Lorraine Doc joining in
Nobody's
as well.
punctual anymore, Jan. I just don't know.
No, I think it's because of the
Don't
other.
just relax. It's fine. I'm fine.
I think it's because of the other event they had last week. People joined in very, very early because there was
Doesn't
no
it
other
feel like
event.
there are more meetings now than there were before we went into
I think so.
social
Yeah.
distancing?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because all these people that I worked with, Jan, in the real estate industry, we used to say, good morning, hello, how are you? Nice seeing you. And this was 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock, 8:30. We leave by 9, back to work. And it's a
Right.
hustle bustle. Now we're seeing people, in our comfort zone, being ourselves. And I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. It really relates a lot of transparency, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, Gene's probably out. What are you doing? Are you working, Gene? You can wait until after the meeting.
Oh, okay. I was just forwarding it.
All right. You forwarded something to me already?
No.
Oh,
I got
darn.
people. I
I
got
was
people.
hoping.
They'll
You
do
know
this.
people,
Yeah.
huh?
I got people that'll look it up for me and provide the information. So.
Lorraine is saying hi to everybody. So
Hi, Lorraine.
hi, Lorraine.
Hi, Lorraine.
Hey.
So she's
some
only
ahead, I'm
on
sorry.
audio. Sorry. No, I just wanted to say that she's only on audio, so she doesn't have video.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but go ahead.
I was going to say the same thing.
Well, I guess you guys saw that Denise can't join us.
Oh, she can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's unavailable today.
Janine can join us, though. So, Janine, I haven't seen you in a while. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, just been crazy.
It's a hustle bustle.
Yes.
I'm hanging in there as well,
And when I actually was pulled out of the field like March 13th.
Oh.
Yeah. So my company said, absolutely, we don't want to affect anybody, but we're trying to come out slow but surely. You know how that goes. With a mask, of course.
The mask.
Yeah, you should hear how the school district's doing. It's pretty interesting. To be bombarded, Jan was just bombarded instantly. As soon as this COVID thing happened, we were having meetings, Kiwanis meetings, and we were saying, well, we'll just have to see how this goes. And boom, next week, they closed the school district down. That was it. And then, gradually transitioning and watching the governor of our state talk to superintendents and giving them, well, I don't know what they're giving them, but giving the superintendents information as it trickles in, and it's a lot of confusing information.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's a transition.
We have Mike Meiser from Corona also is joining in from Corona to see how we run
I'm familiar.
the
Yeah.
group. All right.
So would you like to go live, Mishael? Or
Yes, as soon
wait
as you
about 5
guys.
more minutes?
I don't know if Jan has that time.
I'm okay.
I think we should.
I'm fine.
Okay. All right.
Okay, then I'll relax. Sometimes when I have you, Jan, it's like it's special for me. So I really appreciate you joining us today.
No problem, Dwayne. Everything's great. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Are you in the office today?
Oh, yeah. hmm
Yeah.
I just got off with the High Desert and Mountain Superintendents. So
Oh, wow.
we meet almost every Friday.
All right.
Yeah, and there's been like school teacher meetings all week. Huh.
Teacher, we were on with Tony Thurman yesterday through our administrative council, this California Administrative Council, and yeah, there's stuff going on all week. Yeah, principals.
Principals.
That's what I feel like. We just meet way more now than we ever did.
Kind of puts an overload on your table too.
So
But
Marson just
in a
joined
way
in
it
as
does,
well.
and then otherwise, if you're just sitting in your office, you hallucinate. So sometimes it's better to have those
Yeah.
meetings.
Absolutely. Hi, Madison.
Hello, how are you?
Incredible. Nice to see
Good.
people I haven't seen in a long time.
Looks like the lockdown made her look younger.
It's good lighting. Sunlight. I'll take it though, thank you.
I see a few other people on here, Michelle. How many do we have now?
We have 11. We usually have 35 and above. So I don't know if it's this meeting that we had, that they had today.
Mhm.
So I think we'll just go ahead and go live on Facebook and then, start and then, see how the rest of.
Yeah, that's fine. Gene, go ahead and introduce the admins. I'll introduce Jan, and we'll just let her talk a little bit about what's transitioning. I'll ask basic questions. Let you talk for a second, Jan, and then we'll do a meeting adjourned if we have to. But go ahead, go live. Gene, do the admin, and I'll introduce Jan, and we'll go forward. Hey, hi, Melody. Melody's an escrow officer.
Did Melody join us? Oh, good.
Well,
Good.
she runs Stone Creek Escrow.
Yeah. Well, Melody's one of our admins, so we're glad she was able to join us. I know escrow's pretty busy, last day of the month, so
We're slammed.
we'd like to invite if she's ready and on, if she could just introduce herself and say something real quick, and then I'll
She's trying to
introduce
get
the
her-
other admins. Has she got her audio on?
She's probably funding a loan right now.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, obviously, Dwayne Sheffield is one of our admins and of the High Desert Hope and Cope Mastermind Agent group on Facebook, and he's with Choice Lending. So he's already been talking, but if you want to just introduce yourself real quick, Dwayne.
I'm Dwayne Sheffield with Choice Lending, and happy Friday, everybody. I hope everybody has a great, safe weekend. And I do have a speaker today, Jan Gonzalez. I would like to introduce you to her. She's a fabulous lady. She wears many different hats. And I'll tell you, she's superintendent of the Victor Valley Elementary School District. She wears another hat at the Chamber of Commerce. And a couple hats at the Victorville Kiwanis Club, which I'm a member of. So we're glad to have you here today, Jan, and thank you so much for coming. We would definitely like to hear some of your input on what's transitioning in the school district world.
In the
Hey, Dwayne.
education world.
Dwayne, did you want me
High
to
Desert.
introduce the others?
No. Yeah,
No?
of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's
Of
kidding.
course, Gene. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. We're happy to have Jan here too. We're excited to hear what she has to say, but I just wanted to
Sorry.
get some things out of the way here real quick. We want to introduce Mishael Ondeki, who's with Social Media Sensations. If you'd like to say a word or two.
No, I'm really glad that we are doing this. Thank you very much, Jan, for accepting to join us and give us your knowledge. We are going to record this, and we will, of course, share it later on. And we are doing this live on Facebook as well. And as I mentioned, we do have Ray Patchett and Mike Miser from down in Corona joining us to see how this goes, because we are starting another group down there. We normally have a lot more people, but for some weird reason today, I don't know what happened. But again, thanks again for being with us. A lot more people will see you and listen to your wisdom after this event.
Thank you.
Right.
Yes,
Cool.
that's wonderful.
So now I'd like to introduce Jeanette Dickinson with House Masters Home Inspection.
Good morning. I just want to say good morning and thank Jan again because this information should be good for all of us to share with our clients and so forth. The more we know, the better. And appreciate your time today. And have a great weekend, everybody, when this is done.
Cool. Thanks, Jeanette. And Melody, are you on now?
Her volume.
Melody Kosek with Stone
Oh, there
Creek
she is.
Escrow is
moved.
here with us. She's one of our admins also. We want to give her a minute to say a few words.
Yeah, she's on.
Hi, Melody.
Melody, go ahead. Oh, we can't hear her.
Speaker. The speaker.
Can't hear her.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, she's got an issue with the audio, obviously. Can't hear her. I can't hear her. Can't hear you, Melody. Can't hear you.
Don't worry.
Poor
And it
thing.
seems like the audio's the thing to go on Zoom, doesn't it?
Yes, yes.
Well, maybe we can come back to her as she works on that and give her a few minutes. But I'll go ahead. Denise Gianni with My NHD was unable to join us today, so we'll excuse her. And then it's just me left, and I'm with Ticor Title, and we formulated this group on Facebook to have a platform where we can hope and cope with the COVID as it kind of shocked us all and threw us into a tailspin in our businesses and our lives, and we've all had to adjust. It's just a way for us to come together and help each other and support each other and have a platform where we can communicate and also invite people to come and have an event with them where they can share with us their insights as to what's going on in their industries and help us to learn and grow and build. And so we're happy to have Jan with us here today, and we look forward to hearing from her.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you guys having me in here. Dwayne, as he mentioned before, we're both in Kiwanis and we meet weekly, and he speaks very, very highly of this group as a group of energetic go-getters. So I'm very honored to be here today. So I'm going to give you a little update on where education is at. Currently, we are in a holding pattern as we're waiting for guidelines about how we can reopen school. And what these guidelines are the physical logistics about how we can do open school safely. So we're at the mercy right now of the Department of Public Health for San Bernardino County, and we're starting to get like skeleton overviews from other entities that are giving us ideas of what it could look like. So at this point in time, they're considering social distancing, not only in the classroom, but also on buses, etc. They're considering having students wear masks. All of this is just still in the consideration phase. No firm decisions yet. So we're having to keep all of this in mind. At the same time, I'm sure all of you were aware of the governor's May revise, which is all we have at this point in time. And what it looks like is it's going to be taking down school districts' budgets to the tune of about 10 to 13%. That could change also when they adopt the budget in June. So we're hopeful about that, because with what we need to do for the schools to get them ready for reopening, according to other guidelines, is a little intimidating with a cut budget. So what we're doing right now as school districts, and hence I told you we have a weekly meeting with the High Desert and the Mountain superintendents, is we're all preparing logistically. So in other words, like in my district, in Victor Elementary School District, we're stockpiling masks, we're stockpiling gloves, we're stockpiling hand sanitizer, those types of things, so that when we come back, each classroom, each employee will have what they need to do. And students too, as far as masks, if that's what's handed down as a mandate. We're not sure what that'll look like. We're also having teachers right now who are piloting different technology and equipment to actually do a better job of distance learning. I can give you one example. There's a new, it's like a tripod, it's called Swivel. And basically you can put your iPad or your iPhone in it, you wear a button and it follows you around the classroom so that you can do instruction to a group like this and, be free to use what you have in your classroom to do that instruction. So we have pilots going on like that. And this is going on in every school district right now. I guess the piece that you want to hear most of all is what is it going to look like in August? And we're looking at several different options of how we could come back. And all of this is going to depend on those guidelines and how stringent the guidelines are. So obviously there's the option of having a full return where all students come back to the classroom, which at this point in time, while we'd like to see that, with what we're hearing from, some of the entities about guidelines like CDC, et cetera, it's impossible. We have the other option of going full distance learning. That's not our favorite option. As any educator is going to tell you they want their kids back in the classroom. We know we have a better chance of getting them to where they need to be if we have them with us and we're concentrating on their education for a full day like that. The big discussion is wrapped around hybrid models of both of those. What that would look like if we did have to do social distancing, if we have to do kids wearing masks, if we have to have kids eating lunch in their classrooms rather than conjugating in a multi-purpose room, we would have to trim down the number of students on a campus at any given time. And that would mean kids would not be coming to school 5 days a week. They could be coming 1, 2, or 3 days a week, depending on what model is adopted. There are challenges with that, and busing being one of them, because we're being told now that it can be one student on a bus seat and then every other seat empty. But like I said, these are just right now suggestions, so we don't know if they'll be adopted as a mandate. We're just waiting to hear. So we're weighing all our options. It's constant gathering data, seeing what we can do. We have facilities people going out to classrooms measuring, because if it's a 6-foot distance in a classroom, we're looking at approximately 10 to 12 kids that could fit in a classroom on a given day. And that varies too with age, obviously. We, like I said, are stockpiling things. We're just doing a lot of homework. Every district's doing a lot of homework right now to make sure that we're in a place where we need to do when we start. Our goals for Victor Elementary School District, during this decision-making process have been to ensure safety for all of our stakeholders. So all of our employees, all of our students, make sure they're safe, to make sure that we are moving kids forward in their education, that they're not remaining stagnant, and to always make our decisions based on what's best for students. And that's a staple in the district. And I'm aware that that is the guidelines that all districts are using up here in the high desert and the mountains. I'm trying to think of what else I could tell you. There could be even an option of doing a combination of everything if the data that the governor's using continues to improve. So in other words, we could give parents an option, and this isn't just an option right now, of having their child there full time or having maybe a hybrid, or maybe having full distance learning while they keep their students at home. Most of the districts up here, we've already begun surveying our parents, and I can tell you that it's so widely varied depending on where we are in the high desert or the mountains. The results that we're seeing, it's hugely varied. There are some communities where they're ready for their kids to come back full time now. And then there's other communities where their parents are being very cautious and saying, no, I think I'm going to keep my child home and do full distance learning regardless of what's going on at the school site. So it's just a matter now of waiting to see what the guidelines are, and then we will work in our districts and then together as a education community to do what we need to do. The other thing that we have been doing is feeding. And that's where Dwayne's been very aware of what's been going on in Victor Elementary School District. So immediately after we went into closure, the first week we took to get things together, by that following Monday of being closed, we launched our feeding program, where we had feeding at most of our sites at that time, and then some bus stops. And the parents drove up every day, picked up their breakfast and lunch, and that included milk, etc., for the kids. We now have streamlined it where we have more food with shelf life, where we're able to serve on the first day of the week, so most of the time Mondays, sometimes Tuesday, where they come and they pick up 5 lunches and 5 breakfasts per child, and that means a half a gallon of milk per child as well. So we've had high success with this in Victor Elementary School District. Our average serving is about 9,600 students on a Monday, which means you can multiply that by 10. That's a lot of meals that we're handing out 1 day a week. But like I said, it's been highly successful. It's appreciated by our parents, and we're trying to do what we can to help them, because we know many of them have been left in dire straits because of this pandemic. So that's what we've been working on. The distance learning that's going on right now, what we were agreed upon is right when the pandemic hit, when the governor closes down, is to provide as much enrichment to the students' education as we can. So that's what teachers are doing. And I'm telling you, you've got teachers learning Zoom just like we're all learning Zoom. And some of them are taking it to like fish out of, fish in water, and then some of us are like fish out of the water with it. So it's been a range of skill in there, but they're doing a great job mastering distance learning. If and when we come back in August, if there is just any form of it will be different than what we have done from the announcement of school closure till now. We will be held to taking attendance. There will be grading. There will be report cards. There will be a lot more interaction going on between the teacher and the student, because now we'll be initiating a full school year. The other thing that we've had to tuck away into the back of our heads is that even if we come back either full or with a hybrid in the beginning of the school year, is if we have a second wave of COVID-19, then we may have to close again. So that distance learning is a huge focus right now for us to get in there and find the best way to do it, so that we're covering every subject and able to do everything we need for the students while they're at home. So that's what we're all up to right now. It's a little frustrating, because when you're in education, you're a planner. And so to not be able to have the information we need to go in and deep plan now and be prepared is frustrating for us, but at the same time, we understand why, because this is new to everybody. I can't imagine what the public health department's going through. It's daunting. So we're waiting as patient as we can, and we'll see what we've got, and then we will launch on a single plan and let everybody know at that time. So I just want to reiterate, there's no firm answer on our guidelines, and we have no firm answer of how we're coming back yet. I wish we did, but we don't.
Hey, Jan,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Question, are those guidelines coming down from the CDC or from the state, or where are those guidelines that you're waiting for coming from?
So CDC is working on guidelines for school as we speak. The State Department of Public Health has some input to it, but what they're telling us is that we have to rely mostly on our local county Department of Public Health, because they know what our data is intimately, and they can guide us better than anybody else. So that's where we'll probably be getting our final guidelines. Well, like I said, we've had some straw designs coming out from CDC, from the State Department of Public Health, from a few entities, and we'll see how that goes.
What's your personal feeling, if I might ask, regarding at least the elementary schools, since they're the least susceptible to the virus? Would that be a consideration? What's your personal feeling on the elementary school level?
I have to tell you my feeling. I'm a senior citizen almost. Or no, I am a senior citizen.
No,
I'm
you're not.
63. So I've never been through anything like this in my life, and my feelings are changing on a day-to-day basis. When I sit and I hear about that new illness that has come out on children, my mind goes in one direction. When I, hear about loss of learning, then my mind will go in another direction. So ultimately, I just need those guidelines so that I can settle in and I want my kids back on campus. I'm a possessive superintendent, okay?
Yeah.
I want them to be back here because I know we can do our best job when they're with us. But I also want them safe. And I'm not a doctor. So I don't know, what it could do to put, 24 kids or 33 kids in a classroom together like that. And so I can't make that call. I can't. I wish I could. I'm dumbfounded, to be honest with you.
Jan, I also have a question, but I want to recognize Dan Howard from Antelope Valley. We're starting a group out there in Antelope Valley, and I also want to recognize Linda Hoffs, who joined in a little bit later on. My question to you is, with these adjustments, it sounds like your dollar is going to spread quite a bit.
Yes.
And when that happens, two things happen. You either get an increased amount of dollar or lay off some people or cut down on something. What are you guys thinking? I mean, what is the general thinking on that in that respect?
So basically what we have coming out in June is not going to be our firm budget. So the legislature will adopt a budget in June, but because they postponed people's tax rolls, etc., till July, we'll get another revision in August. So either the very end of July or the beginning of August, we'll get another revision of the budget. So at this time, we're going forward, and when we do our budgets for June, we have to do an adopted budget for our districts by the end of June. It's going to look devastating because we're not putting any cuts in there at this time, and we're using the May revise, which is dire, to get our assumptions in our budget. So it's not going to look great. Once we get the June budget, we'll see how that looks. What we will start doing once we see the August revision is then we'll start looking at what kind of cuts we may have to make. And if there's even an in-between, I mean, if we go with the 13%, definitely there will be some cuts. If we go with even an in-between, there will have to be some cuts. So many of us have already put a hiring freeze in place to, back ourselves up a little bit. If there's been some other purchases that we were going to make over the summer that we thought in January we could make, but now we're thinking maybe not, then we're freezing that. And then we'll make other harder decisions after we see what the revision is in the summer.
Wow.
We have a question from Lorraine. She's asking, is CTC halting the process of PPS and multiple subjects, etc.?
Are they what? Are they, I
Are they
heard,
halting the process? Are they
uh,
stopping the process?
I think it's from
helping the
Linda Hoffs,
process?
Michelle.
Yes.
It's from Linda Hoffs, I think.
Is that from?
Yeah.
Oh, it's from Linda Hoff. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry about that.
Okay.
From Linda Hoff.
Halting the
Yes.
process of what again, Michelle?
The process of CTC.
CDC.
The credential processing for
Ah,
teachers
yes.
and counselors.
So there's talk of waivers. So far, we've had talk of some of the newest teachers we get are coming in with what we call a provisional intern permit. And they're given a timeline of when they need to complete their credential program. So there's talk out there of waivers where they will now let them go a little longer just in case, because this isn't fair to judge them on what's happened this past trimester here, or quarter. So there's those types of waivers. There's talk of waivers up in the Department of Education about enrollment versus ADA. And I don't know if you're familiar with those terms, but the average daily attendance is literally kids in seats. And so they're thinking that with these hybrid programs or something else we may have to come back with, they may have to adjust that to enrollment rather than the average daily attendance. We're waiting to see if there'll be waivers on instructional minutes, because, you know, having a kid sit in front of a computer for 8 hours or 6 hours, I'm sorry, is not conducive to great learning. So what does that look like, you know, for a teacher, you know, and or instructional minutes for the day and actually for the year? There's all kinds of questions out there, but I believe that those CTC waivers will be the easiest ones to come through.
A lot of changes. The teachers
Yep.
probably have a high concern right now. I don't know if it's just about their careers at a career level, but learning, like we're all learning this right now. Is there something positive that comes out of this? Is there something that
Yes.
this is a new way of communicating with all the teachers to where the ideas, like you mentioned when we started, Jan, we're learning things differently, and things might be getting done when they might be getting stagnant in the office, but nobody knows what the actual changes are going to be. So everybody's still kind of on hold.
Yeah, but at the same time, we're seeing such creativity out there. I mean, it's just it's heartwarming to see what's going on. I mean, you guys have probably all seen a drive-through graduation by now, and you know, celebrating these students that, you know, were literally robbed of the big events of their senior year. And what we're seeing, and I compliment my principals because they're holding weekly support meetings with their staff, and the teachers, the staff are getting on there and they're sharing what worked for them this week. Awesome. You know, I tried this, and you know, here's what worked for me. Here's how I set up a guided reading group with first graders this week, and it really worked. So, you know, you should consider trying this. Here's we have teachers that set up parent meetings for just the parents to help support them as they, you know, once they're off that Zoom meeting with the teacher, you know, how do I do the rest of this assignment? So that they're having support meetings for parents as well. So a lot of creativity. I think there's a lot of people out there saying that this is going to change education forever. And that remains to be seen how that will be. But what is teachers stretching their minds and trying new things, and there's nothing bad that can come from that.
And what would you, these changes, in your opinion, what kind of economic impact is this going to have in the local communities? Because most everybody here is, most of the people here in real estate, and the economy really matters in what everybody does.
And we, as that superintendent group I spoke of, we're so aware of our role in the economy around here because, quite frankly, kids come to school to be educated, but it also relieves the parents from having to arrange for daycare or anything like that for that time. So you know, this is another reason why those guidelines are so important to us is we want to get as many kids on campus as possible for the primary purpose of educating our students, but then secondary is it helps the community so that people can get back to their jobs and build their incomes.
That's what's happening. Kids staying home, the parents are staying home as well, and their working hours have changed if they do have jobs, because 1 out of 4 Americans don't have a job, according to what I'm reading, this morning.
Right.
And part of those are parents that were working and can work, but can't because their kids are home.
Right. Exactly.
That could be a concern. So there's a curve. We're all learning that curve together. And I wanted to mention something, Jen, real quick. Your motto for the Victor Valley Elementary School District, because I have one of the cards,
Yeah.
and it says, learning for all, whatever it takes.
Right.
I mean, how awesome is that? So I'll tell you, this is a superintendent, and she's doing some miracles for our elementary students in our community. So I'm so glad to have you today, Jen. Thank you.
Oh, well,
Now,
thank you for having me.
Madison Jones has a question, so if we can let her.
Hi, Jan.
Hi.
Hello. I work with a lot of teachers because I'm a Homes for Heroes agent,
Mhm.
and I've been dealing with some issues with employment verification, and I was just curious if you had any insight to that.
Oh,
We've
I
been
think-
getting the verifications back stating that they're not, I think typically they come back like to be renewed or something like that, and now we're getting termination at the end of their contract, which isn't what we normally get. So I was just curious if there's something, if they're giving everybody termination now because they don't know if they're going to be renewed, or if that's something I'm not sure.
So I'm just gonna dive into this in shallow because I can't speak for the other districts on this, Madison. I can speak for Victor Elementary. I thought you were going to ask about the VOEs.
Yeah, those are hard
Yeah,
too.
because in the very beginning it was hard to even get those done because we sent staff home that first week,
Right.
until we could get our bearings on what needed to be doing. But I think most districts now have their district's office open and those are flying regularly now. So that's the good news. As far as the actual verification, it's at this time of year that you look at, you've got certain positions like contract positions. So those are our bargaining unit positions. That's like our classified and our certificated bargaining unit members, where you shouldn't be seeing any termination there at this time unless a district is already enacting layoffs, and I haven't heard of that yet. What you do see at this time are positions that are not contracts, so usually we don't pay them over the summer is what I'm saying, okay? So like our new duty supervisors, and even them we're paying still right now, and we're using them. But some substitute teachers that aren't working right now, you may see those positions impacted. And they would be impacted any year because, we're done, we're done June 4th, and I'm one of the later districts to finish up. And then we won't be needing them until August.
Right.
So you would see that normally this time of year. So that's would be my explanation for Victor Elementary. I couldn't tell you about the other districts, but here there are no layoffs. And we have abided by the governor's appeal for us to pay everyone like we normally would so that we can support our communities, and that's what we're doing.
Good to hear. Thank you.
All right. Linda Hobbs has a question. Linda, do you want to go ahead and ask the question?
Okay, I just had 2 questions because I got my multiple subject teaching credential and my PPS in school counseling, but I'm working as a realtor now. I took a break from that, but I was just curious. Are they, like with the new budget, are they going to let go of school counselors first, do you think, with this situation?
I think that would be, I don't want to speculate on that, Linda, but, I'm going to speak for Victor. We don't have school counselors. We have psychologists at every site.
Okay.
And that position is very important to us right now because we're seeing social emotional health suffering as well. So I can't speak to the other districts on that, but we wouldn't be looking at that first.
Okay, and then I was just curious too. I know when I used to teach third grade, you know how you do the reading benchmarks to promote them,
Yes.
to fourth grade. How do they do that with the kids this year? I mean, since they weren't in school and the teachers weren't able to conduct those.
So for the end of this year, as a district, we decided not to. What we did was it's called Hold Harmless. We used their last report card, which we gave out to parents right when this all happened, and
Okay.
that's the score that those children are keeping. When we come back, if we come back to any form of distance
Yeah.
learning, they are able to do running records,
Okay. Yeah.
with a Zoom, and we've had some teachers even doing that. Just if they're doing small guided reading groups with their students, they
Mhm.
are doing some running records just to keep track of the growth.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious how. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank
If
you,
I may
Jen.
jump in really
You guys
quick
have
with,
smart questions.
Got a smart group here, Jan.
Mhm.
We're hustlers out here, and in our real estate community. And I'll tell you, we're all concerned too, because we all have kids,
Right. Well, and it impacts
And
your business.
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh gosh. So anyhow, I really appreciate you coming on, and I know we're cutting it close here to the end of the hour. So I would like to ask if anybody has any other questions to.
I do have one quick question as well. As in, and I'm going back to the guidelines, and I know in elementary school, you guys have a lot of students with disabilities. What are those guidelines looking like? Because in the general population, it's fairly easy to imagine, but when you're dealing with the students with disabilities, there's a huge variation of what they are and what they need.
Right. Right. And there's all kinds of different disabilities as well. I mean, in my family alone, we have a type 1 diabetic, which it's very concerning to think about sending her to school right now. But at the same time, so what that looks like for us, here's what that looks like for our district. Special education has been going on even with distance learning. So the special education teachers are meeting with their students as we speak until June 4th, trying to fulfill the IEP goals. As far as coming back onto the site, we would have everything in place that we normally do for our children. And if we have to do the social distancing to the tune what they're saying, then these children will be coming back on just like our other students in a divided group, so that we're able to keep the guidelines in place and keep them social distance. And this is where it comes in, where we have to be able to offer parents what they need for their family. So if they need to do full distance learning and have those face-to-face meetings with the teacher on a regular basis, then that's what's needed. If they're able to come in for 1 or 2 days a week and we're able to keep them safe, then we'll do that. So it's just going to we have to wait to see what the guidelines are, but we're ready to accommodate our special needs students.
And that's where it sounds kind of scary, because if you're going to divide the time, it almost looks to me like there's teachers may have, and staff as well may have to work double time. So will that require?
Well, that's where we have to worry about those instructional minutes.
Okay.
That's where we need the state to say, okay, you can lower the instructional minutes between the teacher and the child, so that we can then have the teacher focus on distance learning for part of the day as well.
All right. Now, Lorraine does have a question. I don't know if she wants to ask or she wants me to read for her. Read it for her. Lorraine, can you hear us? All right. So her question is, do you anticipate any schools closing?
That's an interesting question. At this time, no. I don't. For our schools, we were increasing in enrollment up until then, and even since
Post-COVID.
COVID, since we closed for the COVID, we've added students since then even. So about 20 kids we've added to our population. I don't anticipate closing any schools at this time. No. Mm-mm. If we have to run like like if we have a lot of parents that decide I'm going to keep my kids home anyway, then we'll run those distance learning programs from the schools so that the parents can have office hours, et cetera. So no, I don't anticipate closing schools.
Wow. Okay. That's good news. We're going to remain optimistic with that, and hopefully, no, we don't anticipate to have any teachers laid off.
Yep.
The career thing of like my daughter, she's just started college. She enrolled at midnight last night. She was the last on the speedometer thing for leaving Excelsior High School to go into college. So she was online at midnight at VVC and took 5 classes. She got them, and I don't know how it's going to be. There's a concern that she had questions too about how the teaching's going to be at the college. She's going to do everything home online. So it's a learning process for everybody. Teaching,
Yes, it is.
Parents,
Mm-hmm.
way of life, walking into Lowe's with a mask on and everyone else has got one on. It's like,
Yeah.
so yeah. Anyhow, happy Friday, everybody. Thank you for coming, Jan. I really appreciate it.
I
Anything else?
appreciate being there.
Thank you so
guys-
much. Just maybe we should,
Thank you.
if there's anybody, Don, if
Admin?
Ray has any question, Mike, you know.
Dan,
Yes, Dan. All right.
Thank you, though.
All right.
thank you for
Did
coming.
Melody,
Jan.
did Melody ever get her mic to work? Her audio?
No, I had that problem too. Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe.
okay.
Did
Yes,
that work?
There's,
yeah,
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 I
it
hear
was.
you.
Oh, finally. It's the end of the
Melody.
month here. So I have my iPad and I'm still working and it just went crazy the last couple days. So, but I'm glad I was able to at least listen in.
Why would it be crazy, Melody? I don't understand.
I just want to thank all of you for everything you're doing. You know, you're keeping this community moving forward, and I appreciate that.
Likewise.
Yeah, and the information you provided is very good. My daughter's a teacher in Hesperia. My sister-in-law's a teacher at Victor Elementary. So all this information is, you know,
All right.
very
Mike?
good for, you know, it's very concerning for a lot of the parents.
Yes. All right, perfect. Mike says thank you for having us and have a great weekend. Stay healthy.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right.
You too.
Anything else,
Take care,
Dan?
buddy.
All right.
No.
Thanks so much, Dan. Thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
Jan. And
Thank
we
you,
will
Jan.
call
You guys
on
have
you
a great
again
weekend.
sometime.
Everybody have a
Thank
great
you, Jan.
weekend, and
All
thank
right.
you all
you.
for coming.
Thank you very much.
We'll adjourn.
Hey,
Admin?
Madsen,
Yeah.
coffee.
When?
I don't know when Starbucks is available.
Cut us off. Thank you, Jan.
Next
Thank you,
week,
Jan.
maybe.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Okay.
All right. Deal.
All
Today.
Deal. Okay. Thank you. All right.
Everybody leave.
Yes, everybody's gone. Just admins left.
Hey, Dwayne,
Yes, sir.
that property is showing vacant land on the tax rolls.
Weird, huh?
Yeah. Just so you know. I'll
That's
send
how
you
I.
the profile over, okay?
Yeah, thank you. I looked it up myself, and I came up with it as vacant land, and it's not vacant land. There's a school building on there. You know.
Yeah. Let's see
So-
what